the best way I could explain it, and I want to preface it with saying that these are just my beliefs. If anyone has been told anything contrary, I'm not saying that they're wrong and it's not true. I just want to start by saying these are just my beliefs, and this is how my path has been. So just want to start off saying that. But I believe, first of all, I don't think that there's no certain thing that you can do that will, okay, if you do this, this is going to happen. This is going to happen this way. You're going to meet these people, and then things are going to happen. I don't believe there's any particular way. I think, going back to what I said a second ago, just being prepared, whether that is having, your material on you, or you keep it in your car, or you have like a little bag or backpack that you keep all your music in, and your notes, whatever, business cards or whatever. It's always good to have that ready. You never know what you're going to run into. But even more importantly, I think, and you actually just said one of the key words, envisioning, or I like to say visualizing. Like, see yourself making the connections with certain people that are going to take you to where you're trying to go, or be a conduit to what you're trying to get accomplished. I think that's the key. Me personally, I think from there everything will come together and fall in line. I think you first of all have to believe in yourself, and you have to know that this is what you love to do, and this is what you want to, this is what you want to be, this is what you want to accomplish, this is the goal I want to accomplish. And I think long as your thoughts are positive and they're supporting that, I think things are going to come together in ways that you wouldn't have even imagined them coming together. Like I just gave you guys the short version of the story. If I told you guys the entire story of we went here and then we ended up here and then we met someone there, and then then my parents moved to New York because my dad was he had started pastoring a church there, and I wasn't interested in going to Syracuse. And then finally, months later, I tried to go to Syracuse for 6 months, didn't like it. Then someone saw me in my dad's church, because I grew up playing the organ in church. So someone saw me in New York and moved me to Detroit to play for Aretha Franklin's father's church. And so from there, I met someone who owned a studio there that was looking for some young guys to try to, help their production company. And so then I called Tim, and Tim ended up moving to Detroit. Well, while we were in there, now, mind you, all this time, we're trying to get to Atlanta. Even before I went to New York, we're trying to get to Atlanta because we know Dallas Austin, at the time, the biggest producer in the music business. And he was only 20 years old himself. But he was like the writer of the year in Billboard, producer of the year like 3 years in a row, as a teenager almost. And I mean, he deserved it. I mean, he's a genius. But anyway, so keeping all that in mind, we're in Detroit, and then I meet someone in Detroit who happens to be working at Dallas' studio. Ultimately, and that's what led to us meeting Dallas. But the whole time we were in Detroit, all we said to each other, and at the time, and I tell people this all the time, we didn't realize how powerful this was, what we were doing. But we were just telling each other every day, yeah, we're going to end up in Atlanta, we're going to be working with Dallas, we're going to work with Boyz II Men, we're going to be working with TLC. We were talking as if it had already happened. Now, mind you, not realizing how powerful it is what we were doing, we were like literally, bringing these things into existence. Because, again, and this is my belief, I believe this is how this thing, whether you want to call it the universe, or you want to call it life, whatever, I believe we create our own reality. And within that, whatever our thoughts are, whatever we're vibrating, whatever we're feeling, we're constantly bringing things into our life by how we perceive things, how we, if I'm constantly in a negative mood, I'm going to keep bringing things to my life that's going to keep me in a negative mood. If I'm constantly positive, saying, you know what, these are my goals, I don't see anything but success. It's going to come. I believe it's going to come. And so I think that's what was a huge thing with us finally meeting Dallas. And by the time we got to Atlanta, we didn't know a soul. We had about $40 on us a piece, and that was it. And so, you know, so going back to your original question, I just believe it comes down to having positive thoughts and feeling good about what you're doing, and just knowing that even though you don't necessarily know how it's going to happen, but just knowing that I'm going to achieve what I'm setting out to achieve. And I think if you have that mindset, that positive base, I think whatever it is you're trying to do, it has to happen, because I don't know. I just believe that. And I just believe that. But I will say, going back to my original thing I was saying, is you definitely need to be prepared. Because when it finally came time, when we finally had our quote-unquote moment of truth, where his assistant was like, okay, and this is a guy that would listen to all of the music before Dallas would hear it. And so he was like, okay, play me some things. He said, don't play me, like, more specifically, like, we love doing ballads. And, you know, we just, you know, music connoisseurs. We were like old souls. And so, but the first thing he told us is, do not play us any ballads. Mm-hmm. All we want to hear is up-tempos. But we were prepared. So we just played them, you know, a slew of up-tempos. And then they loved everything. And so from there, you know, Dallas was like, hey, I got this. I got Hall & Oates. I got TLC's new album. I got Boyz II Men new album. I got, you know, Lionel Richie's coming in town next week. You guys want to come aboard? And we were like, yeah. But I think your role is just being prepared at all times, because you just never know. You know, 3 days ago, I ran into a guy I hadn't seen in 20 years, literally 20 years, since 1993. And we got to talking and catching up, you know, within like a 5-minute period. Come to find out, he's in the midst of doing several projects. And I just from me being, you know, just how I've conditioned myself to be now, those projects that he's working on, I'm prepared to engage those right now. And we're literally doing business right now.